today's video is on being kind is free, right? Kindness is free. So, I mean, I think it's something that every kid has heard at least once in his lifetime, right? And most of my hair is like wet right now because I just got in the shower, but had to hit my deadline, right? So, I think it's something that every kid has heard. Being kind is free, right? It doesn't cost you anything to be nice to somebody. And while it's something that we all know of, right? Like, obviously, you don't, like, other than like giving $1 to like a homeless person, but also even then, right? Like you can be more than like it. You don't have to necessarily just like giving kindness to a homeless person doesn't necessarily like mean giving him money. It could just mean like treating him as like a human being, right? But we don't do that, right? We look down on homeless people because we have an innate sense of we want to feel superior to somebody, right? And when your boss is an asshole and he looks down on you at work, you like lash out, right, at somebody else, and then you look down on the totem pole, and then you crash out on the homeless person that just wants to eat, right? But that's beside the point, right? So kindness is free, okay? And I got this idea from a friend of mine. Let's call him YJ, right? Because he's kind of an asshole, okay? And like this is one of my best friends, right? So I feel like fine saying this about him. Wow, my hair's a mess. Um, wow, he's kind of an asshole, right? And while I think he's a great person and he's a smart guy and he can be very nice at times, um, I think Valorant brings out the worst in him, right? And he always like I wouldn't say necessarily like picks on me, but he always like singles me out, right? While we're playing Valorant, to like I don't know flame if you want to call it that, right? And I don't really take it seriously, right? Because I mean obviously we've known each other for 3 years now, right? Pushing, yeah, three years pushing four. And I don't really take it seriously, right? Because I mean I have thick skin, I don't really care, right? And I think he understands that too, which is why he does it, right? Like obviously, you wouldn't pick on someone that doesn't have thick skin, right? Especially if you've been friends with them for as long as I have with him, right? But also, like, I mean, it kind of made me think, like there's really no point in him, like, I guess flaming me, right? Like, there's no social utility to be gained from his negativity, right? The only thing that is of value from that negativity is um is him like he gets a he get he has a outlet for his anger, right? He can like relieve his frustrations from Valorant on to me, right? And I don't really care, like so I mean I don't really say anything, and also like it is what it is, right? Um, and also it gives some everyone else an outlet, right? Because it's like this gang mentality, right? Like if one person's picking on this person, then everyone can hop on the train, right? Like that's just the way it is, right? And it so I guess the social utility there is giving like making one person like a punching bag for everybody, right? And this actually reminds me of a famous philosophical hypothetical. Wow. Which is like what like if you could have one person take on the suffering of the entire world, would that be ethical, right? And it's a very interesting hypothetical, and we can get into it another day. But the point is that in this like type of social situation, that is in fact what's happening, right? One person is taking on the frustration of everybody else, right? And I mean, I have thick skin, so I don't really care, right? Like, you can have 20 people like yelling at me, and I don't give a fuck, right? Because I think I'm a bit of an asshole myself, right? And like that's kind of an asshole mentality to not care about like what anybody else thinks. But it's just the way it is. It is the way it is, right? So that brings me to point number two, which is like, uh, which is like there's like even if like this one person acts as a punching bag for everybody involved, right? There's also still no social utility to be gained, right? Because there's no cap on someone suffering, right? Like it's a zero sum game, right? And like if you watched the last video, you would understand what that means. So watch the last video. I'm an idiot, by the way. But yeah, like doing like blaming one person for your loss and like treating this guy as a punching bag. There's no social utility to be gained from it, right? But I mean, we're selfish beings, right? We don't necessarily empathy is nice and all until it gets in the way of our own personal satisfaction, right? Wow, I'm cooking at this video, and yeah. So I mean, I can understand why it happens. So which is why I don't really get mad at it, right? Because I can rationalize it. And I'm just the type of guy, if I can rationalize it, then I don't really care, because I understand it, right? And I think my frustrations of things don't necessarily stem from like the emotional side of things. It's that when I struggle to like understand something, that's when I get frustrated, right? Like if you're an absolute idiot and argue with me about something very stupid, that's when I get frustrated, right? But I don't really get frustrated like like at someone like this, right? So yeah, so the point is that while it is nice to treat one person's punching bag, and there's also technically no downside to be gained from it, right? Because it's a zero sum game, so it's not a positive or a negative. It just is what it is, right? Um, which is why I think people do it, because it doesn't necessarily make society worse as a whole necessarily. Um, because zero sum, right? But at the end of the day, kindness is free, right? Kindness is there's no cost to kindness, right? You being nice to someone also makes you feel better about yourself, right? And seeing someone else happy, I would hope at least, especially if they're your best friend for 3 years, right? Or at least one of your very close friends for 3 years, I would hope that seeing them happy also makes you happy, right? And yeah, being nice to someone doesn't necessarily like doesn't necessarily cost you anything, and yet it's a net positive, right? So I mean, rationally, if you have between two choices, a net positive, a societal positive, and like a benefit, and a zero cost, uh, zero payout solution, you would choose the positive, right? Obviously, because one is even one is bigger than zero, right? Like that's basic arithmetic, but we don't, right? Because it feels good to us, right? To be to vent our frustration at someone else, and we don't necessarily feel as good being nice to somebody, right? Um, and I understand that, right? Like venting your frustration means that you will get more out of it, right? But that one person will have to suffer. But you don't have to suffer. So obviously you would choose that option, right? Because it gives you the most benefit, right? But um but you also have to remember that like you're also causing someone else harm, right? And even if they don't care about it like I do, right? Like it's still not like a good thing, right? Like I say I don't care about it, but it's not like it doesn't piss me off sometimes, right? Like there are days when like I'm doing really bad and like you don't have to rub it in, right? Obviously, and I might get irked at it, but like I don't necessarily crash out, right? Because I don't really fucking care that all that much ultimately. But it's still like there's still a little bit of negative to that, right? And I think why like if especially because they're like friends for 3 years, right? Like I think the rational thing to do is to make them happy, because making them happy also makes you happy, right? So I mean, you don't necessarily have to like baby them, right? Like obviously they're not your fucking girlfriend, it's your friend, right? But you also want to be an asshole about it, right? Like if they do bad in the game, it's like whatever, man. Like you got it. Just we like it's there's always a next game, right? Instead of like being like, oh, you bot fragged this game, you should kill yourself, right? Like obviously, like we can all agree that one of those options is probably better than the other, right? But like at the end of the day, it just doesn't make us feel as nice, right? But I think I'm this is what I'm advocating, right, for today at least. No, I'm joking. This is what I believe in, right? That that it's free to be nice to somebody, and I think it's the ethical thing is to be nice to somebody. Wow, crazy, right? Grass is green, right? But yeah, the ethical thing is to be nice to somebody because that's the solution with the most societal benefit, right? And again, you just remember, right? Like you you might you might feel good in that moment being an asshole, but there will come a day, right? Where you look back at it and like you look back at a friend that might have moved away, right? Because we're going to college soon, right? Realistically, especially because I want to go out of state, we're probably not going to be like as close as we are, at least, um, as we are now, right? And like we call basically every day, right? And there will come a time when we will eventually just fall out of contact, right? Probably, right? Realistically, and when I guess then when that day comes, I think you'll regret being such an asshole, right? Oh, that's unlucky. So yeah, I mean that's my 2 cents. Like just whenever you feel like lashing out at somebody, remember, right? Like you're lashing out at a friend, right? Like you wouldn't lash out at a girlfriend, or you would try not to lash out at a girlfriend, right? So why lash out at your friend, right? Just because this person doesn't mean as much to you doesn't mean they deserve to take your wrath, right? Like that's just not how it works, right? Every person, regardless of what they mean to you, deserves the same treatment, right? Um, like just because someone's on your girlfriend doesn't mean you can treat them like shit, right? Um, and yeah, and I guess the other way around too. Just because someone's not your boyfriend doesn't mean you can treat them like shit, right? And I also like again, I remember at the end of the day, you guys are friends, right? And very close friends at that. So why be an asshole, right? Even if ultimately it doesn't really hurt anybody, there's something to be gained, okay, from being an ass. And yeah, why make the world a more miserable place when you can make some good out of it, right? And this whole thing might come off as very corny, and so be it, right? But I think that's the reality of the situation, right? Like, even as like very young kids, we're taught that the kindness is in fact free, and it doesn't hurt, right? To be nice to somebody. So you should be nice to people more, right? And I think that's the moral of today's story. Kindness is free, and there's no. Ultimately, I think in the long term, you'll feel better about yourself if you were nice than if you were mean, right? Because um, also, especially because just because someone doesn't say anything doesn't mean they don't care, right? Like I think I'm the exception because I am an unbearable asshole, and I just do not care what other people think, right? But there are a lot of people that care a lot about what other people think of them, and so those people they might just not want to say that like they don't like taking the blame for everything, right? Uh, because I mean I'm not gonna say I'm like happy, right? Like getting flamed all the time. I'm neutral to it, right? I try to make the best out of the situation, right? I laugh and I make jokes of it, and I don't really take it too seriously, which really only fans the flames, right? Like if you sit there and take it like a good boy, um, they just to be a punching bag, so they like vent the anger, let them vent their anger, then then they'll eventually feel bad about themselves, right? Like if you are fucking like swinging on a little kid going bam 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 bam, right? Eventually you'll feel bad about beating the shit out of a little kid, okay? It doesn't matter how mad you are. You could have everybody you love in your life die, but eventually you'll feel bad punching that little kid, right? It's just the way it is, right? And but if you're laughing in the face of it, they'll only get really more angry, right? But I mean, necessarily, I don't really care, right? This is also an asshole move for me, but like I'm fighting fire with fire, right? If you want to be an asshole, then I'm gonna be an asshole back, right? And that's it, right? So yeah, there's really nothing to be gained for being an asshole. So be nice, right? Kindness is free, and you never know, right? Like one day everyone in your life will be gone, and one day you will be gone, right? And don't you want just one more moment where you guys could both look back at it fondly instead of because ultimately at the end of the day when you vent out your anger you're not happy, you just are not mad anymore, right? But I think being nice to somebody will make both of you guys happy, overcoming that anger. And I think yeah, and I think at the end of the day it comes down to that. So that's it for me, guys. Good night, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. And I don't know, maybe you get the book review that I've been promising.